Hello, Chambers of Secrets, and welcome to Harry Potter and the Boys, a Harry Potter fan fiction podcast by me, Radio Mike. Oh, the most high-profile guest we've ever had on this show.
Really?
I am so
I would
excited.
have said no to this than if I'd known I was the highest one.
Yeah.
I thought with the pool that you have, this one, I must be like at the bottom of the barrel of the people wanting to do this.
Mate, you're huge.
Oh,
Dilruk Jayasinha.
Thank you, mate. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so grateful you're here, man, and I really appreciate it.
Mate, it's nice to be asked for things like this, but it was also like I've said to you, I just loved, we first met, was it 2018, maybe 2019 when I did Philosophy?
Yeah.
And you were producing Will Anderson's show, and we got to chatting and we realized that was quite, in a way, we're both similar because we're both comedy nerds who have forged our way on the other side of things, like being able to work within the industry. So something like Hamish and Andy, for example, was such an influential radio show for me. It was the show that I was listening to as an accountant.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I started thinking about like, why am I doing this job that I don't love when there are these two guys who are having fun? And they went to Melbourne Uni. They went to the same commerce courtyard that I met all my friends. And I was like, well, if they can, surely I should have a crack.
And you called into that show.
I called into the show.
Yeah, and you were hilarious on it.
Thanks, man. I remember it was like in 2017, I think I'd done Utopia, and Rob Sitch was coming in to promote the show, and Hamish texted me asking, hey, do you have a rough idea when you called in, like what year it might have been? We just want to go through the archives and see if we can find that audio to play it for Rob.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can pretend like I don't know, or I can say it was
exact day.
Yeah, July 28th, Wednesday. Yeah. Probably on the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and they dug it up and they played it. I remember.
Yeah, they played it with Rob. And so for me, it is that thing when you were saying that, you know, you used to listen to Hamish and Andy so much, and I'm assuming it's part of the reason why you do what you do now.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that now you are part of their shows and you produce their shows, I love it. Like, it's one of my favorite things, because I also think I'm a bit of like a happiness vampire, where, like, you know, it's always, I like celebrating the wins of others. It's almost like, you know, when you're watching a sporting team.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, Pokemon team or whatever the fuck you nerds listen to. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, you can.
By the way, when I say nerd, I'm like a massive dork, right?
I don't know. You've heard me on the Hamish and Andy show. Like, I'm a big nerd.
Pokemon is my blind spot, but it is absolutely in my type. The culture around Pokemon is sort of exactly the type of thing I'd be into, but it just skipped me. But yeah, for me, I just love the idea of celebrating people's wins, because it's when your team wins. You didn't play, but you still feel like you won.
Yeah,
and
true.
that's because you've bought into their story and their journey. And so their successes almost start becoming, your brain can't differentiate between whether you actually did it or not if you genuinely care for that person's success. And
Mate,
for me,
thank you. Are you saying this about me?
Yeah, 100%.
Man.
Absolutely. I just really love, you know, when good things happen to good people. So.
Thanks, bro. Well, likewise for you. Before we dive into the Harry Potter stuff, I did want to chat about your current show at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, which is, you did it in 2019. You're doing it again this year.
No, I did it in 2020.
2020?
I was touring it in Perth, Adelaide, and Sydney, New South Wales, a few towns. And I'd done 25 nights of the show.
Oh, yeah.
And then the pandemic hits.
Right.
And March 15th, I think, was the last time I performed it last year. And it got postponed till now, 2021. So the show was for last year's comedy festival, which didn't happen.
But now I'm wondering which show I saw at the Comedy Fest. I thought I saw Victorious Lion.
No, if you saw me in 2019, was it about me losing weight, or was it about me not drinking?
The bicycle analogy was the thing that
the bike. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that was 2019.
Yeah.
It was called Cheat Days, that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool,
it was
cool,
about
cool.
me. That was the one kind of the story. That was the first time I did a show that was only about the one thing, and it was about how I lost 35 kilos.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten about the bicycle analogy.
Oh, that's the part that really stood out.
Well,
to
there
me
you
a
go.
lot.
Isn't that interesting? Like, sometimes you agonize about trying to find an analogy to try and explain a point, like a bigger point, and then it's nice to know that it's stuck, because that's like the amount of hours I try to spend finding out something that would resonate with people.
Yeah,
you know
100%, man. And I was saying to you off air, like, that show really was like huge for me to just like, a lot of that show was kind of about accepting yourself for who you are, but also like striving to be better in some ways. And
I found my undoing. The show was about the fact that I was about 125 kilos for most of my 20s and 30s, and then around 32, 33, I think is when I started to get a little. The 1st of Jan 2018, so I was 33, and to try and get this under control. And I think what I was explaining in the show was I'd spent too long having shame and blame about the fact that I was lazy or undisciplined, when the reality was there were so many other things at work that caused me to behave like that.
Yeah.
But just because I'm not to be blamed for the way things are doesn't mean that the responsibility isn't mine. It's still if I need to feel better and move better and eat healthy, it's still my responsibility. But why I have compulsive overeating and laziness is not just me. It's childhood. It's and so for me that acceptance, as you describe it, is probably the thing that short-circuited the spiral. Because I'd always start to feel unhealthy and then just, meet that unhealthy feeling with, oh, you're a piece of shit anyway. Why should you look after yourself? Because you're a lazy, fat pisshead drinking too much kind of thing.
And that was kind of where that bike analogy came in,
right.
Which is if you have an old and rusty bike and you say that the bike's really shit, but you're not taking care of it. Then I loved that.
Yeah, exactly. It's and the one that hit me was oh man, I've been so unkind to my body for so long.
Yeah.
The negative things I said about it, including on stage. I made so many jokes about it, but I was man, there'll be people in the world who'll be really grateful for a bike that might not have a bike.
Yeah,
right? I'm
absolutely.
I can walk, I can move, and yet I hate this. It's Mom, it's not, the bike's not wrong. You're just a shitty owner of a bike, and you need to be better at taking care of it. And it's each to their own. But I just felt I was getting angry at the wrong thing when I realized more of it's in my control than I thought.
Please go and see Dill's show at the Comedy Fest if you're in Melbourne right now. I highly recommend. I've been recommending it to everyone.
Thanks. It sounded like it was a fucking TED Talk. I should say there's a lot of jokes in there as well. By
it
the
is
way.
very funny. But what I your stuff is this really, really nice mesh of philosophy and comedy, and I think when done well, that can be really good. So
thanks,
I genuinely,
man. Thank you. That's thank you. That's where a lot of the work goes into is trying to get those concepts that I value myself in a way that's palatable and funny. Yeah, and still a comedy show, and stop it from being an Oprah speech or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, I appreciate you saying that, because that's a real battle. But I look at it I always try to do a show each year that the Dilruk Jayasinha, the comedy fan, if he was in the crowd a year before that, what would he have benefited from hearing? So I try and play to myself a year before. Yeah. So it's almost what are the lessons that I got last year or in general, and what do I wish, if I'm performing in a show in 2019, what would 2018 Dil would love to have heard? And, so concepts like that about learning how to love your body, it is something that I wish I'd told myself at a younger age. Yeah. But I also still have to do it in a way that's comedic. So if it's sense of identity and trying to please other people, I tell a story about, putting my dick in a vacuum cleaner.
Now, I was going to say, I wish this podcast was kind of like that. When I do my Harry Potter fan fiction podcast, I'm what did Mike want to hear last year? Right. My Harry Potter fan fiction podcast.
Now, but you got to please yourself. That's the thing, because you'll never please everybody.
Exactly.
Even the best comedians in the world, even the best, Hamish and Andy is one of the most popular radio shows in the history of Australian radio.
Yeah.
But there's going to be people who don't think they're good.
Oh, yeah.
And so if they can't please everybody, what are the chances that you and I are going to?
Exactly.
So it's almost as long as we just play to the I like to think of me watching the show and how can I please that guy.
Love it, man. I'm taking my phone out, not to be rude. I'm going to play sound effects off it, right?
Oh, great. Okay.
This is what I saw you on Instagram on, was it the Today Show or the Sunrise Show or the Morning Show? One of those morning...
No, I was on Channel 7 News.
Oh, okay.
I was on the news for good reason, I should say. Yeah, it's always really scary when a live performer is on the news.
Yeah. Here's what I heard you saying, which is what led to you being here today.
That's the thing. There's a difference between laughing at something and not taking something seriously. Do you know what I mean? I feel like me personally, all the dark stuff that have happened to me in my life have finally been processed by being able to kind of find the funny in it. I don't know if you're a Harry Potter fan, Jackie, but there's a character called the Boggart where it shows your deepest fear, and the only way to get rid of that is by making fun of it. So I actually think of life in that same way. If there's something that's really bothering me, how do I make fun of it? And then I find a way to process it without dismissing the seriousness of it.
Okay, so I heard you bringing up the Boggart. Not really a character, by the way.
Not a character, or creature.
More of a fantastic beast. And
all right. My God, is this what we're doing? Is that how specific we're going to get here? All right, fair enough. Sorry that Channel 7's Jackie, I had to maybe dumb it down for her when clearly she's a proper Potter fan. It's a creature. Yes, you're right. It's a fantastic beast.
Yes, but I did obviously hear you talking about Boggarts, and I thought, I got to ask Dill to be on.
I remember when I used to read the book, I used to pronounce it as Bogart.
Okay.
I think. And then I think in the film.
They say Boggart.
Did you ever pronounce it as Hermione? Or I used to go with Hermione.
Yes! I think I was always a Hermione boy.
Yeah. And Harry. No. Sorry.
Ron. What is your history with Harry Potter? Like you said, you're a nerd. Are you into it?
Yes, massively. I've given you the warning that it's been a bit of a gap for a while. I'll give you a brief history. So I'm not a big reader.
Okay.
It's like a bugbear of mine because my brother and my mum used to be big readers, and they used to, almost shame me for the fact that I wouldn't read often enough as they did because I was just more into video games and watching telly.
Right.
And so they would say my spellings are bad and blah, blah, blah. So it became this source of discomfort rather than anything that I actually enjoyed organically doing. But because I love movies, when I found out that the Harry Potter film was coming out in 2001, I think it was, I was like, oh, I need to be on top of these books because I always like to read, if there's a movie that I know I'm going to get into, I'm going to start reading the books. And that's where I started with the Philosopher's Stone. And it took me 3 attempts to get it. Like I'd started, be so bloody bored with the friggin' owls. Oh, let's be honest. Okay, very controversial to say this on a Harry Potter, fan fiction podcast. But that first book sucks until he gets to. Okay, if you're a slow reader, and you're not a regular reader, till you get to Hogwarts, it's just envelopes coming in there. There's a snake the glass disappears. There's hair that keeps growing. There's a bike with a hairy man on it. Like it's so weird, and you're just not really hooked in. But of course, once we get to Hogwarts, we're off.
Even the start of Hogwarts is pretty dry. It's probably more when you get to the Mirror of Erised, you realize there's something pretty cool going on here. When you start imagining what you'd see in the Mirror of Erised.
The fact that you said Mirror of Erised, like so specific, just my penis just jumped into my body and shriveled out of I can't believe this is the podcast I'm on.
Hey man, well you're here. You agreed to it.
No. But here's the thing. If I had unlimited time, I would be the type of person that would read the books again and again and again. In fact, I have done multiple readings of the first 5. So by the time I had started, only 4 books were out.
Yeah.
So I would go 1, 2, 3. Then the 5th one was coming out. So I read 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the 5th one, 6th one came out. Then I reread 5. Then I reread 6. And then the 7th one, I think I only did the one time.
Yeah, okay.
So I love nerd culture. I love obsessing over the details, the hidden message. But because of time issues, I have to limit myself to YouTube. So if I ever watch a movie or a TV show, like at the moment, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'll watch the episode and then or Wonder Vision. And then I'll just go to YouTube. There's a few YouTube reviews.
And New Rockstars? Do you watch New Rockstars?
No, what's that? Is that
he's a guy that does analysis of the One Division episodes. Really good channel.
Right, I'll check that out. Yeah. I do Screen Junkies and there's a guy called Jeremy Johns whose reviews. His reviews I like specifically because I haven't consumed art well. I don't know how to explain what I feel, but I know what I feel, and usually his analysis is how I interpret it. Once in a while, we're off. I think there was one film that I hated that he loved, and I was like, oh my! I think it might have been Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay,
I just thought it was such a mess, but he seemed to be a bit more forgiving of it. Okay. Anyway, other than that, the point being Harry Potter, right? So then the movies come out. I love the films, and I remember when I got obsessed with the books when I was rereading them. When the movie came out, I remember seeing the poster, and I felt like I knew Harry. I'm like, oh, Harry! It's because you're so immersed in that world.
Yeah.
I forgot that he's not a mate of mine. It's just a poster. It was this weird feeling because you get buried in that world, and the detail and the worldliness of what J.K. Rowling created is something that I love. I just love how much layers there are. There's just things that there's assumed knowledge, like the fact that, Fantastic Beasts is a movie in itself, like just knowing that there was this wealth of knowledge there, or the famous fight between Dumbledore and what's his name? Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Like the fact that that's just like a throwaway line about it was one of the greatest battles or whatever. I love that there was a universe that existed similar to the way Star Wars has its own history and Marvel has its own kind of history that, you can either fan fiction your way into thinking what those things were, or you wait for the movies to come out. And
Totally.
So I love that culture, or that is around Harry Potter. And my fandom goes to the extent, I'll send you this photo if you want, but it's the first, it was 2020, I think it was.
Yeah.
I went to a Harry Potter party at Town Hall.
Yeah.
But they are not allowed to call it Harry Potter for legal reasons. So they had their own four houses.
Magic World.
I can't remember, something like that. But I dressed up as a Death Eater.
Oh, yeah.
I dressed up as a Death Eater, and my friend, she went as a Golden Snitch. And it was really,
good.
really fun. I'll see if I can, while chatting, pull it up.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'll continue. There's a couple standard questions. Firstly, favorite book and or film?
So the book... film both have to, so cliche to say Prisoner of Azkaban, but
does tend to pop up a lot.
It's really hard to I think it's where the first leap of maturity kicks in.
Yeah.
The spoiler alert, the fact that Sirius was the good guy, that's something that I don't think any of us saw coming, because the way the demon was, the way the black dog was demonized was something that really you felt it the whole way through. I'll find this later, by the way. Sorry.
No, that's all
right. So I love that.
Kind of on your point, Sirius is a character that is mentioned in like the first chapter of the first book. Like you said,
Sirius's bike.
Yeah, Sirius's bike. And you're like, okay, Sirius Black, cool. He ends up being a major character. Little things like that, I agree, are really, really cool.
I love it. But 2 years ago, sorry to jump all over the place, because the things are just going to come into me.
We'll get to the fan fiction as soon as possible. Yeah.
But I was touring in regional, I think it was like regional Queensland or New South Wales, and there was one of these lolly shops, and they were selling Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. And the kid in me was so excited because there was literally earwax flavor, and like the fact that someone created the fact that it was in someone's brain and now it's living in my hand.
That's true.
I love that. I love that so much about it. So yeah, I think Prisoner of Azkaban will have to be, because also time travel is always fun. Just seeing that, like the perspective, or the hippogriff, you think he gets killed, but then you get the other perspective. Turns out the axe was just hitting the wood, or the pumpkin was it. There you go.
Sorry, guys.
No. Please correct me as I go, and just secretly judging it. No, I love that. And so here's a question to you: if you had a quiz show that you had to go on in an area of special interest, would it be Harry Potter?
Like hard quiz?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've thought about this the other day. My hard quiz special topic, I think, would actually be Super Smash Bros, the game franchise.
Really?
Yeah, I actually think I'd ace it. What about you?
So mine's Friends, the TV show. In fact, I was actually on SBS's Celebrity Mastermind. The episode won't come out for I think till the end of the year. So, nice. but my topic was Friends, so I can't say too much about what happens. But yeah, I love Friends, so I just know the specific details. Yeah. Same way you knew, whether that was a pumpkin. Yeah. That's some reason stuck in my head, because I would obsess over the episodes over and over again. But with Super Smash Brothers, though, again, sorry to deviate.
No.
So I have. Remember I said I loved video games as a kid?
Yeah.
So I'm actually a recovering video games addict. I had to ban myself from video games at the age of 19 because I have a chipped tooth from playing Mortal Kombat, because I was grinding my teeth as as playing as Cabal, taking down Sub-Zero, and I'm just grinding my teeth, and I'm it was a feeling, but they just started breaking off, and I was like, man, I've got problems. And I used to have a scar because I used to only play PC. Yeah. So I used to play Need for Speed a lot, and the arrow keys at the bottom of the keyboard were resting against the desk as I was tapping away. Yeah. So it just had this, this was for years, there was a bruise there. So I am okay, I have this compulsive behavior, which, I didn't know how to channel at the time, because now I channel it into, my work and things like that. But at the time
as well,
to an extent, totally. But it's more at the time, I was like, if I love something, I just go so hardcore at it, right? And I was like, I need to pull out because I'm not going to end up studying or anything like that. Especially when I moved to Australia, I was like, I'm going to be alone. Mom is not going to be around to tell me switch off Sims because it's not real life. So Super Smash Bros. Though, my friends in between, they opened up a little business where they were, set up consoles to play networking because it was back then. It was 2003, so it was not very common in Sri Lanka. So. To have that online multiplayer thing. So they had like a Call of Duty station, they had a Halo Xbox, and then there was Super Smash Bros. That was my introduction to it. And that has got to be one of the greatest games ever. Like, it has to be.
We should do another follow-up podcast
really?
at some
Just
point.
about that?
Yeah.
But, oh my God. And
I assume it would have been Super Smash Bros. Melee at this point, the second one
it was
on GameCube?
GameCube.
Yeah,
correct.
so Melee.
It was, so I didn't have the original, and so I know a lot of people got excited. Then, wasn't it about like 10 years later or a few years ago that this new version came out and they were all excited because they'd introduced, what was the real left of field character that came in? Was it like
there's been a lot of shock ones. There's been like Ryu from Street Fighter.
Yes,
Banjo.
that's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one I was thinking of. Like, where did that? And did you know that Mortal Kombat as well? They started introducing some whack characters.
Did they really?
So I think it's MK14 or 13 or whatever. Because now, as an addict, I still want to taste it. So I just watch YouTube clips about it. And there's like Terminator, Rambo,
sick.
RoboCop, like it's
amazing.
Unbelievable. Spawn, like they've just introduced Joker's in Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
Oh man,
I thought when you said you chipped your tooth playing Mortal Kombat, you were like playing with your brother and he tried to fatality you.
No. It's more like Babality where the teeth comes out.
Yeah, gotcha.
Alright, so Harry Potter.
Let's jump into the fanfic now.
Sorry.
No, sorry.
I told you I love nerding out.
I didn't know you were into video games so much, man.
I can't do it anymore, man. The last one I think I allowed myself was Vice City.
Okay,
and
cool.
I finished GTA 3 and Vice City. I got stuck on a boat level and I was like, look, I need to let go. So I have major issues. Now, give me a little bit of backstory. Now, I know your listeners might already know this. So you wrote this at what age?
I wrote this Harry Potter fanfiction when I was 13.
How old are you now?
I am now 26. This is a 13-year-old fanfiction.
Right. And Harry was 13 when we first meet him, right?
11, I believe.
Correct.
11.
Yes,
But
yes.
this fanfiction is set 50 years after the events of Deathly Hallows. Harry Potter is now the headmaster of Hogwarts, and there is a new generation of students, the boys. This is called Harry Potter and the Boys. That's the name.
Right, yeah.
And they are making their way through Hogwarts, where students tend to just die a lot and get ignored. All the staff tend to be very...
Is it virus? Is it a pandemic?
No, just murder. Flat out murder.
Oh, wow, okay.
Lots of fourth wall breaking. A lot of the characters acknowledge the fact that they know they're in a book.
Oh, great. This is very Grant Morrison of you.
Yeah.
I like this.
So we're on chapter 19. I'll
Okay.
pass the laptop over to you.
Okay.
We always start by reading out the name of the chapter, and then we just go from there.
And before we get into it, have you seen the play?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So the play was, I saw it, I think, start of last year, and I
Yeah.
rewatched all the movies in preparation for that.
Nice.
So that is essentially a fast forward into the future. So you're going further past that point as well.
Essentially,
13-year-old.
but when this was written,
Yeah.
the play didn't exist. So I can
Yes.
only assume that the play is not canon in my Harry Potter world.
No, and also they might have seen this and then got the idea from you.
They
JK
possibly,
might have gotten
probably
from you.
not, but we'll see.
All right, Harry Potter and the Boys. Chapter 19. 5 billion and 1 careers for the young witch and or wizard.
There you go.
It's rare to have an and or in it.
or in a fiction book.
It's and slash. It's got
It's like,
and or
Which
slash.
and or wizard, you know? You can take it however you like.
13-year-old Dill was not even close to any. By the way, I have a iPad and touchscreen thing. I constantly think that normal laptops are.
So to scroll down, just
Okay,
use
just
two
do it.
fingers
Okay,
on
cool.
the touchpad.
That must have looked really weird from there. You just see him tickling my pelvic
Groin area.
Again, let's see. I'm going to do that a lot. All right. Here we go. Finally, said Rob, after the boys walked away from the last transfiguration lesson of the term.
Rob is one of the boys, by the way.
Oh,
He's
I
one of-
did not see that coming. How many boys are there?
A lot. There's almost no female characters in this book.
And this is nothing to do with that Amazon Prime show, The Boys, either.
No.
It's
it's
after
also
the boys
got-
walked away from the last transfiguration lesson of the term. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's also got nothing to do with the general saying, yeah, the boys. Just
Oh, okay.
nothing to do with that,
Yeah,
in case you were
okay,
wondering.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's so far very sexist. Very mass male dominated 13-year-old.
is.
13-year-old Mike was an MRA act. Holidays. This is Harry Potter, said the PA. all the students, he's referring to himself as this is Harry Potter, as opposed
Yeah.
to this is the Principal Potter. Okay. All students to their common rooms for an important holiday announcement. The boys walked to Gryffindor common room. Hermione was standing there.
Hermione is
What is she
now-
doing?
She's the Transfiguration professor. She's basically
She's
the
McGonagall.
Professor McGonagall. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so how old are they at this point? If it's 50 years later, they're
I guess
60?
they'd be 67-ish.
60,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
something like that.
Okay. Everybody listening.
This is
What?
Hermione is saying, everybody listening.
What did she suddenly become English as a second language for her? Everybody listening?
I feel like a teacher could say that.
Yeah, exactly. I had some of my Sri Lankan teachers who had bad English say stuff like that. Okay, everybody listening. Now, as part of the Hogwartian tradition, all of the students are for. Look, I got to be honest with you. I'm really uncomfortable making fun of a 13-year-old.
No,
Because
please
this is
do
so
it. Please
beautiful.
do it.
I know you're here grown up and a well-rounded person, but like deep down, this is a child's bloody,
I
attempt at
thought this was
creativity.
good, yeah.
No, but don't you reckon we all need to look at things in the context of when they were created? So,
Yeah.
for example, people ask me about, like, there's a certain bit on YouTube clip that, pops up on my videos and I cringe.
Right.
But the way I process it is because I'm like, well, at the time, that was the best I could do. So I'm
Yeah.
proud of the bit for what it was at the time.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that it still exists, I'm like, please take it down. I hate it. But but in the
Because I'm doing the opposite. I'm publicizing mine.
yeah, you're celebrating it. I like it. I think
Thanks,
I
man.
think it should be because let's be honest. Don't you reckon 13-year-old Mike would have loved to have known that more people got to see this?
I think if 13-year-old Mike knew that you were going to read it one day, which at that point you weren't a comedian.
Yeah, so 13 years
but
ago, that would have been 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was an alcoholic accountant.
Well, and that was my demo. That was my demo.
All right. Oh, so just let know that if 13-year-old Mike has somehow found a way to break the space-time continuum.
He's found a time turner.
And yeah. How many spins is that?
Yeah, it's
if
a
it's
lot.
an hour, it's an hour,
Wait,
isn't it?
But you can't even go forward with a time turner. You can only go back with a time
where
turner.
you started.
Yeah.
But how do they get back to where they
True.
picked
So
up?
you must be able to go forward.
So
yeah.
you should have to like spin it
It's a
so
lot.
much.
13
Oh
years.
my
You'd
God.
get sick of that.
And also, what kind of teacher puts the responsibility
On
of
a
to a
girl.
13-year-old? He said girl. See, I told you he's an MRI. It was not even about the age. It's like on a girl.
13-year-old girl, as opposed to
Welcome to Mike getting cancelled.
No.
Yes.
Not at all.
Don't
what I
edit
meant.
that out. No. You're a sweetheart. I know.
All right. So, all right. You continue.
All of the students are forced to participate. Okay. Now, as part of Hogwartian tradition, all of the students are forced to participate in Careers Week over the holidays, beginning on Christmas Day. I feel like Stephen Fry in the...
You're doing the audiobook.
Yeah.
Now, also, we know it's not Hogwartian tradition because it never appeared in the other Harry Potter books.
It could be
Could be
in
a
between.
new
in
thing,
between,
yeah.
Careers Week. I just clocked what that was.
Careers Week at Hogwarts.
So would they want to be like an aura? Or,
I guess so.
Or what else is in the Harry
Minister
Potter
for
Minister?
Magic.
That's the
No,
only...
the
sports?
teacher. Or
Yeah, you know,
Quidditch player.
Quidditch
There you
player.
go. We named 4.
There must be more. There must be a plumber, surely. No, is there
Magical-
a trade? Is there a?
I guess so.
What's Hogwarts TAFE equivalent?
Hogwarts type. Design tech, guys.
I mean, how did they? Did Harry Potter ever acknowledge the internet?
Nah. They don't have the internet. Like, they just can't. Someone wrote into the pod, they don't have electricity because apparently magic interferes with electricity. So that's pretty crazy.
See, with that stuff, I'm always happy to get a little explanation,
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't mind. Not, but as long as it's something that I can just go, okay, I'll buy into that.
Yeah.
Fair enough, and then I'll move on.
Good
you know?
explanation, yeah.
All right. With over 5 billion different, things I get hung up on is the details. Like did you see Wonder Woman 1984?
Yeah.
See, I can't let go of the fact that there's so many issues with it, obviously, but
The wishes?
all those are major. But the one that I'm really struggling with is the fact that she wants to keep her identity secret. So when she's saving people, she uses the lasso to turn cameras away and stuff like that. Sure. But she still chooses to wear this outfit that
Draws attention
completely
to
draws
herself.
attention to her. And we go, you are an anachronism. Like, why are you there? So why wouldn't she blend in more and try and save people? That's
Just
like,
wear a normal going
me,
out outfit, yeah.
do your wishes and all of that, but don't bullshit me and say you don't want to be seen.
So 5 billion different and one. It says 5 billion different and one careers, which is
Okay.
definitely wrong. There's always
Beginning-
going to be
oh my
one
God,
for
yeah.
everyone.
with over 5 billion different and one career. What?
That's just a typo from
Okay,
Mike.
okay.
Yeah.
5 billion and one different careers. There's always going to be one for everyone. Oh, hang on. Did I lose my spot? I think I'm going to use keys if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, totally fine.
Because, I'm getting... This is like Need for Speed again. There's always going to be one for everyone. Even the more idiotic, I'm assuming.
Yeah, idiotic.
The irony is that he spelled it IEDIODIC.
Idiotic.
Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Even the more idiotic students. Some students mourned, but some, including Harold, smiled. Harold, is it the giraffe?
No, just a boy.
Do you reckon they had Harold the giraffe in Hogwarts to come and tell you?
No, they'd
to
probably
not
have a Harold the hippogriff instead.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I'll do... Okay, Harold smiled. Who's Harold?
Harold's just one of the boys.
One of the boys. Okay. Yeah. You couldn't just have like one boy?
No, that's the thing. All the boys really are just interchangeable.
Are they just interchangeable? Now, I will do this secret spell. Oh, here we go. I commoni John Tonomo Harry Wano Harvey.
Okay, so that's just a secret spell, apparently.
Secret spell, but let's dissect it, please, if we have time. So
Yeah.
there's John in there.
Yeah, there's Harry and Harvey.
There's Harvey. There's Werno.
Werno.
So
I
maybe
come in a John Tonoma Harry Werno Harvey.
Yeah.
I don't
What's
know.
interesting is none of the other Harry Potter spells are that long.
No.
So like Alohomora or Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah.
Like there's kind of like some kind of,
Logic.
Leviosa for levitating.
Yeah,
You know what
they're
I mean?
all
Lumos for
grounded
light.
in Latin.
Yeah.
Whereas this one seems
in-
to just take various English
just
words.
Pig shit is what it is. And now go kill each other for the best career? What? Whoa, got brutal suddenly.
There you go.
Okay, hang on. So Harold said, well, I'm getting lost in even the
So
more...
I think that's Hermione doing a secret spell. She says, now go and kill each other for the best career.
Okay, right.
Which is
Okay,
weird.
understood. Yeah. About 5 billion and one piece. I love that's what a 13-year-old thought a career's day is going to be like. Go kill each other. About 5 billion and one pieces of paper appeared on the wall in front of them. Everyone ran around looking for a job that said, oh, there's 5 billion and one jobs.
Yeah, and
on
you've got to
offer.
choose the best one, I guess.
Wow. Like unemployment rates must be huge in that world. Some people were so desperate to get good work experience that they killed some of the other students to snatch the pieces of paper out of their
Yeah,
hands.
that's what a 13-year-old thinks is funny. Kids murdering other kids. Dill is stunned. He wants to stop now.
No, because you told me, you warned me about there's a lot of death. But like, wow. Like they died in Careers Day.
Yeah. Just trying to get a head start for their future.
Completely stunned by that moment because I should have seen the foreshadowing by Hermione. Now go kill each other,
and then
they took it
literally
literally.
do it. Yeah.
What
It's a
the-
shock.
Did you have friends in
Oh,
school?
I had a couple.
Yeah. Did you feel like you needed to kill them in order to get ahead in life? Was there who was
Mate.
producing Hamish and Andy before you, and where are their remains? There's going to be like a whole bloody Tiger King making a murderer
I fed
about
them
Mike.
to the tigers, yeah.
Yeah. Man, you know that there's enough job. Anyone listening, there's enough jobs
enough
for
jobs,
everybody.
guys.
Please, you
Fuck,
don't have
I'm
to fight
doing
for
a
a
Harry
piece of
Potter
pie.
fan fiction podcast. There's jobs for all of
Jobs
us.
for all of us.
So
they killed some of the other students to snatch the pieces of paper out of their hands. I wonder what how did they kill him?
I guess with Avada Kedavra.
So straight away back. And so meanwhile, the
guess.
teachers are just watching this mayhem go down.
That's happened previously in the book. You're so taken aback by it, but I guess
Yeah.
I'm desensitized to it.
Maybe it's kind of like we've got to a Mad Max version of
The Harry Potter world,
but it's
yeah.
post-apocalyptic where
Yeah.
it's just kill or be
Free
killed.
for all.
Dog eat dog. Okay. This caused a few court cases to have happened a few years later, but that won't be covered in this book.
So J.K. Rowling never really did that where she's like, now there was a couple court cases about Voldemort killing these people. We won't be covering that off
But
in this
stay
one.
tuned for the next
We might do
one.
a spin-off movie. But
I don't mind that. I actually don't mind that because at least you're acknowledging there was consequences to the actions, right? That's what I think is cool about it.
Yeah.
It is still very much like, I just can't be bothered writing that shit right now.
It's-
But, you know, wait for the Law and Order spin-off version of it. Right.
Get the auras onto it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes, said Rob. I get to be Minister for Magic for a whole week.
Not how Careers Week works, by the way. You don't actually become the job that you're doing work experience for.
Well, hang on though. I actually think your 13-year-old Mike is onto something here because it is a magical world, right? And I think what they say, you know, if you want to do something, right? I truly believe that we all have dreams and things that we want to aspire to do, but we always focus on the good things about it. We always ignore the grunt work and the shit that it takes. Like there's that book, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, by Mark Manson. He's big on that idea of like, before you figure out your dreams or whatever, he references by saying, what's your favorite flavor of shit sandwich? Like what version of like eating shit and hating life and finding things difficult comes easy to you that looks like work to other people, right? So this method of getting kids to go, okay, if this is what you want to do, you get to adopt the persona for a week, see how stressful it is, and then decide, is this still what you want to do?
It is a good method.
So with me, with stand-up, like the first gig I ever did, I bombed so badly and I bombed for 3 more years.
Yeah.
But I loved the shit sandwich that was there. I loved coming up with the idea. I loved the process of it. So for me, that's why it's so easy for me to lean into work because I love the bad times. You know what I mean? So I like where this is actually genuinely a cool way to take the Harry Potter world and give them like this ability to go, well, if you get this, you're going to have to live out. I'm into that
I like
bit.
to think that was intentional.
Well, look, sometimes art's up to the the interpretation of the consumer of the art, right? And the way I'm going to consume is that you thought that through.
So Rob's going to be Minister for Magic.
A whole week. That's very but it's also very inventive and creative, though. I like that.
But that's like being at school and it's like, hey, for Careers Week, I'm going to be president. I get to be president for a week.
In Muggle world, but in magical world,
maybe a bit more sense.
Like what's the thing where the potion where you polygraph?
Polyjuice.
Yeah. So put the polyjuice on. Like similarly, you can live. You know how they walk through the ministry like that. This will be perfect. I love it.
Cool.
Okay, I'm into it. Okay. Rob says, spinning sir for tragic.
Rob, that says spinning sir for tragic, which I guess rhymes with Minister for Magic. So he's read it wrong. Rob's just read it totally wrong. Dill's gonna.
What kind of
Dill's gonna head off.
You thought you were fucking Eminem at that point, weren't you? We were like rhyming Minister for Magic with spinning surf for tragic. Like, yeah, you're rhyming, multi-syllable rhyming, Marshall Mathers style.
The spinning surf for magic. The spinning surf for tragic. What is that?
I take back everything I said positive before.
Hey, man.
No. All right. Again, look, let's reward the attempt to be as creative and
Thank you.
Dr. Zeusy as possible. It says spinning self for try because it's an intended joke as well. Like it's good.
Yeah.
Again, 13-year-old Mike today, sure, we'll be judging him. 13-year-old Mike, good on you, champion. Said Luke. Okay. Damn, said Rob. Spinning Surf for Tragic was a job in the Wizarding world, in which somebody, brackets, generally a man, because it's spinning, sir.
Not spinning madam, I guess.
Yeah. Well, then,
sir implies a male.
Yeah. If it was like Minis Madame for magic, then you could get that.
Yeah.
Had to spin around. Okay. In which somebody, generally a man because it's spinning, sir, had to spin around 100 times every time something tragic happened. It was a high-paid job because no one wanted to do it because you get dizzy really quickly.
So every time something tragic happens, if you're the spinning surf for tragic, you just have to spin around 100 times.
But there's no acknowledgement of why they have to do that. Like if there was something like if you spin, then it rebalances grief or something like that.
Breaks a curse or something.
So kind of,
We might never know.
But again, you got to reward the imagination,
the thought behind it.
Well, it's just it's an imaginative thing.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? I'm still pro 13 Mike at this point. The death of the children, though, that was unnecessary, but okay. Most of the good jobs were gone after about a minute. Lockie managed to get the job as a school bully, which was really good and paid reasonably well with good holidays. Did you get bullied in school and thought that was such a good gig?
The school bully.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you work hard to get a degree in bullying to get the school bully gig.
That's amazing. Look,
how do you assess how well a school bully is performing? It's like, look, you've only bullied 3 kids this week and you've only bashed up 2. You're not meeting your KPIs, mate.
Yeah. There's not enough depressed children.
Yeah. Can you please
up your, how much lunch money did you collect, you know? Luke got stuck as a school victim of bullying, therefore...
sorry, mate, you have not been victimized enough. You're not meeting your KPIs. Perhaps you guys could work together.
Oh my God. Luke got stuck as a school. Luke got stuck as a school victim of bullying, and therefore Lockie was forced to bully him, which was a shame because they were friends. Like, that's really tragic. Like, that's something you should spin 100 times for, because that's like two friends that just happen to get a role. It's almost like, I would say that's almost like a metaphor for, like, you know, war. Like, sometimes you could be friends with someone, but they might be of a different ethnicity, and suddenly
Romeo
civil
and
war.
Juliet kind of vibes. Like, they were
Is
in
Lockie
love.
and Rob fucking? Yeah.
No, what I meant was Romeo and Juliet's families were sort of at war. But
They were
loved each
already
other.
at war.
Yeah, I guess it was a bad
Okay.
analogy.
It's no, you're right. You know, it's what they call the Capulets and the
Montagues. Yeah.
All right, maybe it's something like that. They were friends, but then they're just forced to hate each other. It's Cain and Abel. It's a whole bunch of things.
Terrible.
Here. Okay. No. It's tragic. I like it.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, that's not how jobs work in the real world. You've just acknowledged that. What? Wait, can I just read that whole thing again?
Read it again.
Luke got stuck as the school victim of bullying, and therefore Lockie was forced to bully him, which was a shame because they were friends. But unfortunately, that's not how jobs work in the real world.
But I guess that's...
Now, what do you mean?
I think it's like, you know, you could be friends... Like, you've got friends who are comedians, and maybe some of the tickets that you could be selling, people are buying your friends' tickets, right?
Yeah, there's definitely, especially the time slots and things like that.
So that's not how jobs work in the real world. I say we just look past it.
Yeah, because the logic's really because I feel like this is you telling yourself, "Hey, man, don't get upset by that," because that's not how it works in the real world. But the fact that you said, "But unfortunately," that's almost like, because the context is, fortunately, it does work like this in the wizarding world.
Yeah.
Like, why is that a fortunate thing? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah. Good Lord. How much do we have, by the way? Because I'm also like, I want to dissect every single sentence.
Yeah, we've got a little bit.
We got a lot more?
Well, we've got a lot more.
Okay. Let's
you
empower.
need, I don't want to keep you for too much longer.
No, I mean, because I can't not obsess over that detail. All right,
We'll just, you know, we'll pick it apart. We'll see how we go.
Okay. Right. All right. Where
Oh,
we were
there. We are here. We're here.
Sam got the job as a professional chaser for the Chinese Quidditch team.
Pretty reasonable.
As long as he's Chinese.
Yeah.
But why is the kid in Hogwarts suddenly now being sent to China?
That's like a year 7 kid being like, "Hey mate, you're all right at footy. Have a shot at the MCG on the weekend.
Yeah.
You'll be great."
Michael and Tom were still looking. I mean, it seems problematic if it's like adopting the Chinese culture without actually being part of the culture.
Yeah.
Michael and Tom were still looking around to find a good job. There was one more piece of paper on the wall.
Oh, so 5 billion have been taken, and this is the last one.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Well, it's 50. It's 50 years in the future. You know, overpopulation is a problem.
No, but is there 50 kids there? That means
possibly
5 billion and 1 kid.
Yeah.
Looks like we'll be sharing, said Tom. Yep, said Michael. They slowly moved their eyes towards a piece of paper. They read it and were shocked. Hagrid's super cool band for super cool people like you. Brackets, no idiots welcome. Brackets, but we are allowed one idiot, just no idiots.
Now, this, I believe, from what I can tell, would be a reference to The Simpsons, where there's the No Homers Club, but there's another boy called Homer, and it's like, well, we're allowed one Homer.
Right,
yeah, I think that's a reference to that. I loved The Simpsons.
Good stuff there. I like it because you obviously want to be part of a band, and now you are.
That's true, man. Yeah.
Do you want to get stuck with a crap job in Careers Week? I wouldn't. Do you want to get stuck with a super cool job for a super cool people? I would. Do you like to sing? I do. Therefore, join Hagrid's super cool band for super cool people like you. Anyone can join and it's free. P.S. No idiots.
As we said before.
Or PPS except Hagrid. PPSS. It's actually PPPS. and Hagrid's imaginary friend Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo.
Another Simpsons reference, actually. Yeah.
First practice starts at 5 p.m. tonight, brackets not sharp. Now, it would be great to find a time when this was written, because I bet you this was in the middle of the night where you're losing your bloody mind, marbles. That was just creativity gone out of control. No, yelled Tom so loud that the whole world could probably hear him, but they wouldn't understand what he was saying because he was speaking so unclearly, because he suddenly had an asthma attack because he had asthma Well, that helps. What an amazing sentence.
Well, it's not
He
over.
was speaking so unclearly because he suddenly had an asthma attack because he had asthma, which probably hasn't been mentioned before because it is a really pointless fact that nobody need to know about Tom, except if you didn't know, then you wouldn't understand why he was having an asthma attack because you wouldn't know that he had asthma, and then you'd be like, but I didn't know he had asthma. But you did because you should have read this whole extremely pointless paragraph, which has no point in it at all except to annoy you. And anyway, this is hard to read without taking a breath, because there are no commas, and that means that you can't take a breath. So don't even think about it, okay? Okay, breathe now. Tom has asthma. End of story. Bye-bye. Brackets, like what Shrek says to Donkey in Shrek. That has got to be one of the greatest pieces of literature that has ever been put to digital paper. I know we're going over time, but I've got to do that whole sentence as is intended by the author. No! Yelled Tom so loud that the world could probably hear him, but they wouldn't understand what he was saying because he was speaking so unclearly, because he suddenly had an asthma attack, because he had asthma, which probably hasn't been mentioned before, because it is a really pointless fact that nobody need to know about Tom, except if you didn't know, then you wouldn't understand why he was having an asthma attack, because you wouldn't know that he had asthma, and then you'd be like, but he didn't know he had asthma. But you did also, you should have read this whole extremely pointless paragraph, which has no point in it at all, except you know anyone in this breath is hard to take without reading a breath, without having a breath, because there are no commas, and that means you can't take a breath, so don't even think about it, okay? Okay, breathe now. Tom has asthma. End of story. Bye-bye.
Like what Shrek says to Donkey in Shrek.
Wow, that has so much disdain for the reader in that moment. You
It's
hated
like,
your reader.
Fuck you for reading
Fuck you
this
for
book.
supporting me.
Yeah.
Where were we? Oh, yes. Ooh, yelled Tom as his asthma attack ended. What? Oh, it was a
That's the
continuation of
end
the
of
no.
the no.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
5 p.m. came and the boys had made their way to Hagrid's hut. Now, Hagrid said, you'll be playing the electric guitar, Michael, and Tom will be on the drums. How many characters? They were kind of confused because they didn't know the electricity was even a thing in the magic world. Now, is Michael here, Michael the writer?
Yeah. Oh, no. Michael is based on this guy right here.
Yeah.
But the narrator seems to be another character entirely.
Oh, that's what I meant. So Michael is based on you. What's
Yeah.
your last name?
Liberali.
Michael Liberali. That's really problematic that I fucked that up.
No, it's not.
Uh,
Hagrid made Michael and Tom.
I'm now stuck on why do I know the name Liberali?
Oh,
Did I save you in my phone as Liberali?
maybe. We were emailing for a while. I have a
That's-
brother who
What's-
worked in
what's-
marketing.
What's his name? First name.
Daniel.
Of course. DL. Good guy. Hagrid made Michael and Tom pay for over 5 hours. It was about 10:30 a.m. when he finally let them go. But the boys were happy tomorrow was Christmas. Night came and morning came. Christmas. What? The hell just happened? Let there be lights, said God, and all the lights at Hogwarts turned on. Jeez. That's an acid trip.
Went to a Catholic school, man.
Well,
That's why God is a character.
I mean, so did I go to a Catholic school, but if I was going to introduce God, like, what, like...
Is this the worst podcast you've done?
No. No, this is one of the greatest moments of my life. But because I'm obsessed with... Here's the thing, I want to try and get into the mindset of what's happening here.
Yeah.
Because it's the
Well,
sudden...
that's a separate podcast entirely.
No. But that's why I said, well, I want to know where the bullies came from. Were you bullied as a kid? And when the Catholic thing now makes sense, right? It's some sort of... But is there a God in Harry Potter world? Is there any reference to a creator or a being? She kept it very...
ambiguous, I think. But
right.
in a chapter earlier, and you're not going to like this, God actually appeared earlier in the book.
Like Zeus used to come
sort
down
of-
and have...
basically, a hand with a wand appeared from the sky and used a Vada Kedavra on a student.
God smited?
Essentially, God smote
someone? Why did he need a wand?
I don't know.
He can do it with one thought.
He created the whole universe.
Why did he need a wand? That's just like really rubbing it in. I'm going to kill you with the thing that you use.
It's like God using a gun.
Yeah, it's like me getting killed with a microphone.
I think this is the last page now, so we're nearly done. There's a little bit
Yeah,
left.
okay. There's a
cool.
couple of pages left.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't want it to end though.
Yeah, no one does.
Well, let there be light. Okay.
All right.
All of the 6 boys ran downstairs all together. They got 5,000 galleons, which they put straight into. Look at the judgy eyes when I said mispronounced galleons. Did you see the way he looked at me? He thought I didn't see it, but I saw it from the
No, I
corner
was
of my
like,
eyes.
do I
Like,
have to explain?
he was like, oh God, this fucking muggle. All right. Altogether, they've got 5,000 galleons, which they put straight into Gringotts. Rob got a remote control acromantula. I don't know what that is.
Acromantula is like the big spider in Chamber of Secrets that Hagrid had. Yeah.
What was her name? Betty, or what was her name?
Aragog. Betty. Betty the Acromantula.
Maybe it's like Buckbeak in my head.
Are you thinking of like Charlotte's Web or something?
What was his dog's name?
Fluffy.
That's kind of what my head
That's
was
where,
at.
yeah.
What was like a ironic
Double
like
letters,
yeah.
Y at the end.
But it's like, yeah, it's not fly. He's this huge dog.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Maybe that's my excuse at least, right? Rob got a remote control acromantula from the boys and a bucket of dung from Hagrid.
So Hagrid is giving shit.
Where are we with this storyline? So he said, come back tomorrow for practice, right? Hagrid made Michael and Bay for Tom. It was about 10:30 a.m. when he finally let them go. But the boys were happy as tomorrow's Christmas. Night came and morning came. Let there be light, God. So all 6 boys ran down. Altogether, they got 5,000 galleons, which they put straight in.
It's Christmas Day now. It's Christmas Day now.
Oh,
they're getting
so
their Christmas presents. Yeah.
So 5,000 galleons of Christmas presents.
Ignore the band. I don't know what the band is about with Hagrid. That's something entirely different. This is now Christmas Day. They're getting presents.
But how did they put it in Gringotts? Were they like using
I guess they have FPOS.
Payway.
Yeah. I guess they have a banking app now.
They got Pay ID to be able to transfer directly. Well, again, you were ahead of your time.
Yeah. I
what
saw
I mean?
it coming.
So this would have been 2007. Yep, you saw it come. Well done. Rob got a remote control acromantula from the boys and a bucket of dung from Hagrid. Now, why did Hagrid give a 13-year-old boy some shit?
And that's a question that you only can hope is answered later in the book.
Which I bet you might not be in this book. So that's something we can
It's
deal
with the court cases. This is one of the court cases.
Michael got a book called The Best Seekers of the 21st Century from the boys and a guitar pick made out of chicken bones from Hagrid.
Okay.
Chickens. I haven't come across chickens in the magical world. Sam and Tom got 2 state-of-the-art knives from the boys and a wizard's chess set, each from their parents. Luke got a Guy Sebastian CD.
And this would have been kind of like peak Guy Sebastian.
Yeah. I think this would have been, hey, do you like it
like that? Yeah. And
Don't sing anymore. We can't play it before the royalties.
But the other thing is, this was written in the context of the book. It's like 2050 now, right? So it seems like either Guy Sebastian is still making albums in 2050. If so, good on him. Yeah. Or the wizarding world is only now catching up to Australian pop music.
Right.
Which is
Actually,
pretty cool.
I think like that was in 2009, 2010. So, couldn't have been that
Couldn't
song.
have been. Might have been All I Need Is You in My Life Forever. All I need is you in my life.
Wait for Bloodstone and all that to come out. It's going to be... Why do we know so much about Guy Sebastian?
Now I'm singing in the choir. That was a great song. I'm sorry. I loved that song.
Can we do another podcast just on Guy Sebastian?
Hour. Guy Sebastian, please come on this podcast.
Luke got a Guy Sebastian CD from the boys and a signed poster of Hagrid from Hagrid. And
So
Lockie,
Hagrid's printed-
he's got his own merch.
That's like if you gave me a signed poster of yourself today. That'd be kind of weird.
You don't want it?
I do want it.
That's outside.
I actually
You
gave
did give me a sticker. Look at you again, pod calling the kettle black. You gave me a sticker of you.
I gave Dilruk a podcast sticker with me on it.
Wait, okay, so Hagrid has posters and he's signed posters. Why is there posters of Hagrid?
I guess because of his band.
Oh, okay. All right,
guess
there's
that's
some
where the
logic.
band
There's some
comes
logic
in,
there.
yeah.
Okay. There's a Hagrid's, the super cool, that's the name of the band.
Super cool band, yeah, for super cool people. No idiots allowed.
So was 13-year-old Mike a Guy Sebastian fan?
I don't think so.
So did you-
Now
because
I am, clearly.
You can't be around commercial radio without having a sense of what Guy Sebastian's up to these days. All right.
He's just around. I feel like Guy Sebastian is just always at Fox FM. Like, he's just always there. He practically works there. He just works a side job in sales.
Right, exactly. CD from the boys and signpost of Hagrid from Hagrid. And Lockie got a pet spider monkey called Sponk. Ooh.
That's a pretty, probably didn't know that that's got
very
some
close to
weird
spunk,
connotations. Yeah.
From the boys and a spider monkey feeding set from Hagrid.
Okay.
Spider monkey is a monkey head with a spider body.
Pretty cool.
It's interesting because the spider monkey is a real thing, right?
Is it really?
I think there's an actual creature called spider monkey. Or at least I've heard of.
Is it like a monkey with 8 arms?
No, I feel like we should Google that.
We'll Google it now. I'll Google it on my phone.
Spider monkey is like a really gangly type.
Spider. I was about to type in Spider-Man. Spider.
Well, that is a thing.
That's also a thing. Spider monkey.
Spider monkey. There
Yeah.
you go. Yes, it's a
Spider monkeys are New World monkeys belonging to the genus Atelis.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
All right,
Okay. But this is a different type of spider monkey.
This is So this should have shit, I just messed up with the format.
I'll Control Z.
Thank
Cool.
you. Oof, don't want to lose this
You
gold.
deleted a word.
You know what? You're running a real dangerous game by looking at it as in the document page. You should do a PDF.
a read-only file.
Yeah. No editing. You don't want to mess with art.
Well, this is the original doc. This is a 13-year-old doc.
Yeah, mate. Imagine if you could get a hold of the transcript that JK, had when she
Just
was
change a few
in
words.
Edinburgh. So I performed in Edinburgh pre-pandemic at the festival a couple of years now, and there's a cafe that claims to be where she wrote the book.
Yeah, on the back of a napkin or something?
No, wasn't the napkin on a train? Did she get the idea on a train? Yeah. Anyway, but either way, they claim that she would come in and type it there. Right. And so there's all these paraphernalia and all these things about it. Now, no one's actually sure if that's really the case because I think a couple of cafes try to claim it.
Right. Because she could have just been sending emails. For all
could
we
have
know.
been,
Yeah.
But they are there are people, the tourists come to take photos there.
Yeah, okay.
It works.
Right. Well, I hope.
Have you been to London?
No, I haven't.
There's a 9 3/4 where you can take a photo.
So cool.
And I did.
I was gonna say that's cool. I was gonna say I hope one day my parents set up a little shrine at our house for where this book was written. People can come and take photos.
That's for Patreon visitors only, that they get a little tour
Patreon supporters, my mum runs it. So this is where Michael used to sit and he used to type
you're a
it
Seinfeld
up.
fan?
Yeah.
So that Kramer does a tour of Seinfeld, which is a meta joke because the real
Kramer.
Yeah, was his name Kessler? No.
John, isn't it John?
Was it Kramer as well? Right,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, he used to run Seinfeld too.
Yeah. Have you read that book Seinfeldia? Oh, right. That's a great book about the history of Seinfeld.
All right.
But that's funny.
There's a Friends one, let me know.
Cool.
PA made it quicker now. Okay, hang on. Whoa.
So
where
now-
are we?
so-
So Hagrid, a spider monkey is a monkey with his head with a spider body.
Yeah. And
Here we are, the end of the
last
chapter.
paragraph.
This is where we're going, okay? Before
Cool.
the next chapter. The PA made a quick announcement. Attention all students. All Christmas presents are to be immediately brought to Harry Potter's office. No exceptions. Also, Derek is a disgrace to all wizards.
Now, this probably makes no sense to you because Derek hasn't even appeared in this chapter.
Well, Asthma showed up out of nowhere, so I'm now ready for any kind of surprises.
Derek is just one of the boys, and in every chapter, Harry makes an announcement that he's a disgrace to all wizards. So we had to get one in
callback.
action.
Okay,
It's a
okay, right.
little callback.
The chapter ended. Huh?
This is the
in the
last
book.
line of the chapter.
The chapter ended, and the reader of the book turned the page in anticipation of the next chapter. I mean, that is pretty cool. I'm not being ironic. I'm not trying to be I just think it's really funny and cool to do that. To have a commentary about and this is what's happening on this side.
Yeah, but not only do the characters in the book sometimes acknowledge that they are in a book, but the narrator of the book treats you, the reader, as a character and can dictate what you're doing.
Have you heard of Grant Morrison? And
I know you mentioned him, and I pretended that I knew, but I don't.
Doom Patrol, there's a HBO series with Brendan Fraser on it, and the main villain, I forget his name, Mr. Nobody, I think it is. He talks. He's self-aware and talks to the audience. But also Grant Morrison's book Animal Man. Basically, at one moment he realizes he's in a comic book, and he jumps out of the comic book and has a conversation with the author.
So
in
cool.
the thing. Yeah,
Love
so spoilers,
that. Love
but
that.
yeah. So that's the end of. Can we read the title of the next chapter?
Please.
Because I can't. What a page turner this is.
Well, literally, it's telling you to.
It's telling you to do it, and it's it's saying, read of the book, turn the page in anticipation of the next chapter. So, yeah, it's true.
Crazy.
Or scroll down. Chapter 17. Wasn't the one we read 17 as well?
The one we read was 19, so we've actually got... So we've actually gone back to each other. He's lost.
How the hell did that happen?
Didn't happen in in J.K. Rowling. She never lost track, and she also had an editor to make sure if this happened.
No, I was scared to. Okay, let's read the chapters. We won't read this, but this is the name of the chapter. Chapter 17, the 9th ill-fated measure.
Now,
Wow, what was the 1 to 7, 1 to 8?
Long-time listeners of the pod will know of the original 8 ill-fated measures.
Okay, so chapter 19 was 5 billion and 1 careers for young witch and or wizard. Okay, so at least you promised. I was trying to see whether was the chapter title misleading.
Yeah,
No,
right.
No, you stuck to a structure.
Dilruk,
Alright, look.
what did you think? Thank you for doing this. I know it was probably a waste of your
I've
time.
never enjoyed closing a laptop more. No, okay. Seriously, I genuinely love that 13-year-old did that. 13-year-old Mike did that because, it's really, it comes from a place of true pain where when I was a kid, when I must have been in preschool, and we had to color in like a cow or something like that. And I didn't just color the cow. I drew like a sun, and I drew like a smiley face on it, and all kinds of. I just went crazy with it. And I remember the teacher laughing and saying, "Why would you bother doing any of this?" And made fun of me for running with my imagination. And that happened when I was like 4 or 5. So there's that's still tapping into some kind of realm.
Trauma.
So for me, yeah, totally. Because you're just doing something because it's fun, and instead you have a person of authority saying you're an idiot for doing that, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the serious side of it is I'm really proud of 13-year-old Mike, who just ran with his imagination wild. And then we fast forward 13 years later. I'm really chuffed that you decided to take that piece
Share
of
it
shit.
with the world.
Like Hagrid's turd that he gifted someone on Christmas Day, you're gifting that turd to everybody.
So you showed your teacher the piece of art. I never showed this to my teachers because I was embarrassed. I didn't want that feedback.
Yeah. You were embarrassed at the time, you reckon?
Well, I never showed anyone. I never showed this to anyone.
Really? So
I think one of my friends, Lockie O'Connell, friend of mine,
featured. Yeah,
he's
he
in the book.
he
I
got,
used to send them to him. He got some dung, didn't he?
Was he the one who got the dung? Or he
got
was
the
made a
spider
bully.
monkey,
He
I
was
think.
a bully.
He was the bully.
No,
that's
sorry,
right.
getting bullied.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
it,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is a shame because they were friends. But luckily, unfortunately that's not how real life goes. There's some real quotes for this. Now, you've noticed that at the start of this podcast, I referenced Mark Manson's subtle art of not giving a fuck. Next podcast I do, I probably might reference this book. There's a book by Mike Liberali.
Harry Potter and the Boys. Kind of reminds me, just before we finish, of a John Lennon quote, which is when he said, "My teacher asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up?"
Right, and he said the walrus or the Eggman.
He said, "I want to be happy." And the teacher said, "You did not understand the assignment." And he said, "You don't understand
the
life."
question. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that's spot on. How old was Lennon when he said that?
I don't know.
Must have been a kid, obviously.
I think
right?
it was John
Unless he was
Lennon.
just roaming schools like a weirdo.
Yeah.
No, I think sincerely, I love that you've done this podcast. I think
Thanks,
it's really
mate.
fun because it is I think I wish I had a version of that to kind of go back into and see younger version of me, and then looking back, almost dissecting that younger version of me. Half a lifetime ago for you.
Yeah,
So that's exciting. That's
Thanks,
very
man.
cool. My pleasure. Thanks.
Can you plug all your stuff?
I would
for
love
everyone?
to plug all my stuff. So let's start with podcasts because we're in a podcast format. I have a podcast called Fitbet, where my weight loss started, where it was like me and a friend were 125 kilos. And the first one of us to get under 100 kilos was going to win $1,000. And it was a bet. And so obviously the bet's over since then, but we have really interesting guests coming on there to talk about their health stuff, like people like Miss Universe contestants as well as sports stars. So it's really fun. And a lot of comics, obviously. And my other podcast I do with Ed Cavalier, it's called Dilruk's Mad Stacks. It's where basically him and I are trying to get financially fit and open a bank account in the Cayman Islands.
Nice.
So really dumb, but really fun. And my live show. So it's the new tour is called Victorious Line, and it's at the Melbourne Comedy Festival in April, and it'll be in Sydney and Brisbane as well. But all the details on dilrukj.com, I think is the best way to go about that. And finally, my stand-up special is on Amazon Prime. So
Nice.
it's called Bundle of Joy. Check it out. There's references to what you were talking about from that show that you came and saw is
Yep.
in that show as well. So
Great.
yeah, I've had people watch that stand-up special and say they've lost 10 kilos after watching it. So
Oh,
there's
great.
a little plug for that.
From laughing too hard?
Well,
or-
in getting inspired to get their life together. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, that's my plugs.
Awesome, man. I genuinely really appreciate your time. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure,
for being on the
mate.
show.
Thank you so much for having me, and good luck to you guys. I hope the boys can survive this ordeal.
See you later, guys.
Okay.
But I went to run my hand through your hair and I noticed you were attached to string. You were a puppet this whole time, you were attached to string. You were a puppet this whole time. I think back